Hi, in this video, we will learn all about accounting for calls in arrears. First, let's begin by understanding the meaning of calls in arrears. If a shareholder defaults in the payment of call amount due on allotment or any calls according to the terms, the amount not so received is called calls in arrears. The unpaid or arrear amount on account of allotment or the calls may or may not be transferred to calls in arrears account. Therefore, there are two methods of dealing with accounting of calls in arrears. Method 1, without opening calls in arrears account, and method 2, by opening calls in arrears account. Please note, if the question requires that the amount of calls not received be transferred to calls in arrears account, then the amount not so received is to be transferred to calls in arrears account. That is, the calls in arrears account has to be opened and method 2 is to be followed. Let's understand in detail the treatment under the first method, without opening calls in arrears account. Now in this method, the amount received from the shareholders is credited to the relevant call account, and the various call accounts will show debit balance equal to the total unpaid amount of each call. On the subsequent date when the amount of calls in arrear is received, bank account is debited and the relevant call account is credited. Let's consider an example. If the first call money at rupees 2 per share on 10,000 shares is called, but out of this, the first call money on only 9,500 shares is received. For making the first call money due on 10,000 shares at rupees 2 per share, the journal entry would be share first call account debit to share capital account, amount being 20,000 rupees. Now when the company receives the first call only on 9,500 shares, the journal entry for the same would be bank account debit to share first call account, the amount 9,500 shares multiplied by 2 rupees per share, which is 19,000 rupees. At a subsequent date, when the amount of the calls in arrears, being the first call on 500 shares at rupees 2 per share is received, the journal entry to be passed is bank account debit to share first call, the amount being 500 shares multiplied by 2 rupees per share, which is rupees 1,000. And until such time as this calls in arrears amount of rupees 1,000 is received, there will be a debit balance in the share first call account for the amount of rupees 1,000. On receipt of the calls in arrears of rupees 1,000, the share first call account will close, indicating that there are no calls in arrears in respect of the share first call. We've discussed the first method without opening calls in arrears account. So let's go to the second method, by opening calls in arrears account. Under this method, the amount of calls in arrears is transferred to a separate account titled calls in arrears account. A combined entry may be passed. In the example given above, under this method, the journal entries would be as follows. For making the first call money due on 10,000 shares at rupees 2 per share, the journal entry would be share first call account debit to share capital account, the amount being 20,000 rupees. On receipt of first call money on 9,500 shares, the journal entry bank account debit 19,000 rupees for the amount which has been received. Calls in arrears account debit for the 1,000 rupees which has not been received will be debited to the calls in arrears account. To share first call account, the total amount which is 20,000 rupees. Now when the calls in arrears, that is the first call on 500 shares at rupees 2 per share, is received at a subsequent date, the journal entry to be passed would be bank account debit 1,000 rupees to calls in arrears account 1,000 rupees. So after this entry is passed, the calls in arrears account will be closed, indicating that there is no more calls in arrears. Let's understand what interest on calls in arrears is. The company, if authorized by the Articles of Association, may charge interest at the specified rate on the calls in arrears from the due date to the date of the payment. So the company can charge interest on the shareholder for the amount of calls in arrears for the period from the due date, that is the date on which the amount was payable by the shareholder, up to the date of payment. Now, in case the Articles of Association is silent, Table A shall apply, which provides for interest at 10% per annum. Please understand and remember this point. Table A provides for interest at 10% per annum on calls in arrears. However, the directors have the right to waive the interest on calls in arrears. Accounting for interest on calls in arrears is not there in the syllabus. How do we disclose calls in arrears in the company's balance sheet? As we've already seen, the debit balance of the calls in arrears account is shown as a deduction from subscribed but not fully paid up under subscribed capital in the notes to accounts on share capital in equity and liability part of the balance sheet. So now that we've understood about accounting for calls in arrears, in the upcoming video, we will do example sums for accounting for calls in arrears.